There was a time when men chased women. They wrote letters that carried pieces of their soul. They waited outside doorsteps in the rain, their shoes soaked, but their hearts burning with hope. They fought for love, not because it was easy, but because they believed love was worth the fight. But today, silence. No letters, no long walks, no waiting under windows. Men don't chase anymore. They simply watch quietly, and then they walk away. This silence didn't arrive overnight. It's the echo of 1,000 heartbreaks, a decade of emotional exhaustion built from rejection, confusion, and imbalance. It's not arrogance, it's fatigue. The kind that doesn't show on faces, but lives deep inside the soul. Once upon a time, a man's persistence was seen as devotion. Now it's called simping. Once upon a time, effort meant love. Now effort means weakness. And that's where the shift began. Not in the heart, but in the psychology. Men finally understood something. Chasing no longer means love. It means proving your worth to someone who's already decided you're not enough. They saw the pattern, the endless pursuit for approval that never came, the cycle of giving without receiving, of loving without being loved back. What used to be seen as romance is now treated like desperation. And when you get hurt enough times, something inside you changes. The brain rewires itself. Love and pain become the same signal. And the human brain has one sacred rule: avoid pain at all costs. So men stopped chasing, not because they stopped caring, but because they finally started protecting themselves. They realized peace is more valuable than attention. That silence, though lonely at first, is far kinder than one-sided love. Once upon a time, trying was honorable. Now, it's mocked. Men aren't colder, they're wiser. They've learned that begging for connection destroys dignity. They've learned that relationships built on imbalance always collapse. They've learned that silence speaks louder than chasing. Modern women forgot one truth. Love is an exchange, not a competition. If one side only takes, the other eventually stops giving. Now men don't chase, they observe. They watch who's genuine and who's just playing games. And when they see the truth, they leave, quietly. No arguments, no drama. That's not weakness. That's emotional intelligence. That's evolution. The evolution of the modern man. The world says men have changed. But the truth is, they didn't change, they woke up. They woke up from the illusion that love means proving yourself, from the fantasy that constant giving will eventually earn respect, from the belief that kindness always comes back. For years, men were told, be patient, be gentle, keep trying. But every try became a bruise. Every wait became another heartbreak. Until one day they realized the love they were fighting for was never mutual. See, men didn't stop loving. They stopped chasing love that drained them. They stopped running after people who only wanted to be admired, not understood. Because there's a difference between being loved and being entertained. And men finally saw that difference clearly. They learned that peace is priceless, and that not everyone deserves access to it. They learned that chasing isn't romance, it's imbalance. That when you constantly pursue someone who retreats, you're not building a bond, you're building a trap. This realization didn't make them heartless, it made them human again. For the first time, they started choosing themselves, their energy, their dignity, their silence. They realized that love, the kind that heals and inspires, can only exist where there is mutual effort, and where there isn't, peace must replace it. So they began a quiet revolution. No banners, no noise, Just boundaries. No more chasing validation. No more performing affection for people who only wanted to be worshipped, not loved. The new man doesn't beg. He observes. He listens to the tone of your silence, the honesty of your actions, the consistency of your care. Because he's learned that love without respect is a slow poison. That the softest heartbreak isn't betrayal. It's realizing you gave too much to someone who never truly saw you. Now, when a man pulls back, it's not indifference, it's self-defense. It's the wisdom of experience whispering, protect your peace, even if it means being alone. The modern man doesn't argue for love anymore. He simply watches the silence grow. And then he walks away with his dignity intact. Because walking away isn't losing. It's choosing peace over chaos. It's choosing clarity over confusion. It's choosing self-respect over begging for love that was never meant to be his in the first place. He's not bitter. He's balanced. He's not cold. He's calm. He's not rejecting love. He's rejecting manipulation disguised as love. And in that calm, you'll find a man who has seen too much, felt too deeply, and finally decided to protect the only thing no one else ever protected: his soul. The modern man doesn't shout his pain anymore. He doesn't post long quotes about loyalty or heartbreak. He doesn't argue to prove how deeply he cared. He simply retreats, quietly, gracefully, and with purpose. Because men have learned that peace isn't found in noise. It's found in distance. It's found in walking away from things that disturb your soul. It's found in silence that doesn't demand attention, but commands respect. This silence is not emptiness, it's power. It's a language that only experience can teach. Every heartbreak, every rejection, every betrayal, it refined him, shaped him, and stripped away every illusion he once believed about love. He used to think effort could fix everything, that if he loved harder, stayed longer, gave more, she'd finally understand. But now he knows love doesn't grow through force. It flourishes only where it's returned. So he changed his strategy. He stopped investing his heart where it wasn't valued. He stopped explaining his worth. He stopped begging to be understood. Instead, he started building himself, his goals, his health, his mind. He started to redirect his energy, not into chasing love, but into creating peace. Because men discovered something sacred. When you heal in silence, you become untouchable. No one can manipulate a man who has made peace with solitude. No one can guilt him into submission when his validation comes from within. He's no longer addicted to being chosen. He chooses himself. He's no longer desperate to be seen. He sees his own value clearly now, and that clarity is terrifying. Not to him, but to those who once fed off his confusion. The era of emotional discipline has begun. It's not about coldness. It's about control. It's about learning when to give and when to let go. It's about knowing that love without peace is just chaos wearing perfume. Now, when he meets someone new, he no longer rushes. He observes, he listens, he evaluates. Because experience has taught him that words are cheap and consistency is currency. He's seen enough temporary love to recognize permanence. He's tasted enough lies to crave truth. And he's endured enough silence to know that the loudest peace is found alone. So he walks slower now, speaks less, feels deeper, because men have realized something revolutionary. You don't need to be understood to be at peace. You only need to stop explaining yourself to people who were never listening in the first place. That's the new kind of strength. Not loud, not flashy, but quiet, grounded, and unbreakable. There was a time when men measured their worth by how much they could give. Now they measure it by how much they can withhold, not out of coldness, but out of wisdom, because they've learned that not everyone deserves access to their softness. See, every man reaches a breaking point, that quiet moment where he realizes his love has turned into labor, when he feels like he's auditioning for a role in someone's life that he's already earned through loyalty. That's the day everything changes. He doesn't yell, doesn't beg, doesn't chase. He simply withdraws, not to punish, but to preserve what's left of himself. That's the shift from emotion to evolution, from needing validation to choosing self-respect. Because when a man finally understands his own value, the world's manipulations lose their power. He stops falling for mixed signals, for promises wrapped in emptiness, for love that demands constant proof but offers no peace. He's seen the cost of loving without limits, sleepless nights, anxious waiting, the quiet humiliation of caring more than the other person ever did. And so he stopped, not because he became numb, but because he became awake. Now his love has boundaries. His silence has meaning. His absence has weight. When he walks away, it's not from weakness, it's from realization. He knows that true love doesn't require you to lose yourself. That devotion without balance becomes self-destruction. So he redefines love. He redefines masculinity. He redefines peace. He starts building a life that doesn't depend on being understood. A life rooted in purpose, not approval. He spends his time learning, training, creating, investing. He finds joy in solitude and clarity in stillness. Because now, the chase isn't for a person, it's for potential. This is the evolution most people don't notice because it's quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It simply appears in his calm tone, in his unbothered presence, in the way he no longer reacts to disrespect. He doesn't compete anymore. He doesn't seek revenge. He doesn't try to win anyone back, because he's realized the real victory is mastering himself, not convincing others. He's not proving his worth anymore. He's protecting it. And that shift from chasing love to guarding peace is what defines the modern man. The one who no longer runs after affection, but attracts it through stability, purpose, and silence. The modern man no longer measures his strength by how much he can endure. He measures it by how quickly he can walk away from what isn't meant for him. He doesn't stay to prove his patience anymore. He leaves to protect his peace, because now he understands something profound. Not every connection is sacred, and not every attraction is meant to become love. Some people come to teach you boundaries. Some come to reveal your wounds, and some come only to show you what you'll never settle for again. That's not cynicism, that's clarity. The kind that comes after countless nights of trying to fix what was never broken by you. See, a man's peace is no longer negotiable. He doesn't hand it out like a gift. He guards it like a treasure. Because once he tasted peace after chaos, he realized it was the rarest form of freedom. He doesn't need validation now. He doesn't crave constant reassurance. He doesn't chase closure, because peace is closure. He doesn't argue to prove he's right. He chooses silence to prove he's free. The peaceful man scares the modern world because he can't be controlled. You can't shame him with loneliness. He's made friends with solitude. You can't lure him with superficial love. He's seen what fake affection costs. You can't guilt him into staying. He no longer confuses loyalty with self-sacrifice. He's emotionally fluent now. He can express love, but he can also withdraw it. He can care deeply, but he knows when care becomes self-harm. He can forgive quietly, but he'll never reopen a door he had to close for for his sanity. The new masculine energy is subtle, but powerful. It doesn't scream. It doesn't chase. It moves with purpose, speaks with intention, and loves with balance. Because love without peace is just noise. And he's done with noise. He now attracts differently. Women who once overlooked him for his calmness now find themselves drawn to that stillness. Because peace is magnetic. It's the rarest luxury in a world addicted to chaos. And yet, he doesn't seek validation even in that. He's not trying to prove he's better. He's simply proving to himself that he can live without needing anyone's permission to rest. That's the real evolution of man. From chasing love to choosing peace, from proving worth to protecting energy, from being misunderstood to being unmoved. And in that transformation, the modern man found something that generations before him rarely discovered: emotional freedom. Peaceful men are not unloving. They are healed. They've bled in silence long enough to understand that love without balance is just a beautiful form of suffering. They've cried in the dark, questioned their worth, replayed every failure. And in that pain, they found truth. That truth rebuilt them quietly, piece by piece. The man who once begged to be understood now smiles in silence. Because he's learned, not everyone deserves to understand him. The man who once tried to fix others now protects his energy. Because he's learned, not everyone wants to be healed. The man who once chased love now attracts peace. Because he's learned, real love doesn't require a chase. He doesn't hate women. He doesn't hate love. He just no longer worships what wounds him. He honors effort, cherishes loyalty, and respects honesty. But he no longer confuses attachment with connection. Now love looks different. It's not grand gestures or endless apologies. It's small consistency, quiet understanding, mutual respect. It's two people who don't drain each other. They restore each other. It's not fireworks anymore. It's warmth, stability, safety. It's peace that doesn't fade after passion. This is the love modern men crave. Not the kind that burns fast, but the kind that lasts slow. Not the kind that excites your nerves, but the kind that calms your soul. Because after surviving chaos, peace becomes the most beautiful sound in the world. Men aren't heartless. They're healing from generations of emotional silence, from being told to be strong even when breaking inside, from being mocked when they loved deeply and blamed when they stopped. But now, they're rewriting the story. They're teaching the world that masculinity and peace can coexist. That strength isn't in shouting, it's in stillness. That love isn't in chasing, it's in choosing. That control isn't dominance, it's discipline. And the world is slowly noticing. The calm man isn't boring. He's rare. He's not emotionless. He's evolved. He's not detached. He's discerning. He's not avoiding love. He's avoiding chaos disguised as love. So, the next time you see a man who doesn't chase, who doesn't argue, who simply smiles and walks away, don't mistake that for weakness. That's mastery. That's maturity. That's evolution. Because the truth is, men didn't stop loving. They stopped bleeding for love that wasn't mutual. They stopped chasing hearts that ran from peace. And in doing so, they found something far greater than validation. They found themselves. Now they don't chase people. They chase purpose. They don't fight for attention. They fight for alignment. They don't need to be loved loudly. They choose to be loved quietly, by peace, by purpose, by God. And that is the rebirth of love, not the death of romance, but its purification. Because when a man chooses peace over chaos, he doesn't lose love. He discovers what love was meant to be all along. Men didn't stop loving. They stopped bleeding for love that wasn't mutual. They stopped chasing hearts that ran from peace. And in doing so, they found something greater than validation, themselves. Now they don't chase people, they chase purpose. They don't fight for attention, they fight for alignment. They don't need to be loved loudly, they choose to be loved quietly, by peace, by purpose, by God. So, when you see a man who doesn't argue, doesn't beg, just smiles and walks away, don't mistake that for coldness. That's mastery. That's healing. That's evolution. Because the truth is simple. Love was never meant to be begged for. It was meant to be mutual. And when a man finally understands that, he doesn't lose love. He discovers what love was meant to be all along. Not chaos, not chasing, but peace that stays.